Welcome. Today, we're diving deep into 50 fascinating things you probably didn't know about the Victorian era. This time period was full of strange customs, dramatic changes, and surprising stories that shaped the modern world. So, settle in and get ready to be amazed. 1. Queen Victoria ruled Britain for an incredible 63 years, from 1837 to 1901. Her reign was so long that the entire era took her name. She was the first British monarch to celebrate a Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years on the throne, which was a huge national celebration attended by thousands. 2. Victorian women's beauty routines were shocking by today's standards. Many used creams containing arsenic to whiten their skin, aiming for a pale, flawless look that symbolized wealth and leisure. Sadly, arsenic is toxic, and some women suffered serious health problems or even death without understanding why. 3. Mourning in Victorian England was a very serious affair with strict rules. Widows were expected to wear full black for at least 2 years after their husband's death, sometimes longer. Then they would move to half mourning, clothes in muted colors for several more months. These customs dictated fashion, social behavior, and even interactions with others. 4. The phrase "going to the loo" actually originated in Victorian times. It's a polite way to refer to the toilet and comes from the term water closet, which was the name given to the early indoor flushing toilets introduced in this era. Before that, people used chamber pots or outdoor privies. 5. Postcards became an affordable and wildly popular way to communicate in Victorian Britain. Introduced in the late 1800s, postcards allowed people to send short messages quickly and cheaply. They often featured artwork, landscapes, or holiday greetings, sparking a new hobby of postcard collecting. 6. For many years, Victorians thought tomatoes were poisonous because they belonged to the nightshade family, which includes deadly plants like belladonna. This superstition delayed tomatoes becoming common in British cooking, even though they were enjoyed in other parts of Europe. 7. Fashion in the Victorian era placed great emphasis on a tiny waist, and corsets were tightly laced to achieve that hourglass figure. Some women's corsets were so tight they caused fainting spells, bruising, and even deformed rib cages. Despite the health risks, the corset remained a staple of women's fashion for decades. 8. While we think of indoor plumbing as modern, it was mostly a luxury in Victorian times. Only wealthy households typically had flushing toilets inside their homes. Most working-class families relied on communal outhouses or chamber pots, and many cities struggled with sanitation issues. 9. The tradition of sending Christmas cards was born in Victorian England. In 1843, artist John Callcott Horsley designed the first commercial Christmas card, showing a family celebrating together. This new way to share holiday greetings quickly caught on and remains a beloved custom today. 10. The penny black, introduced in 1840, was the world's first adhesive postage stamp. It featured a young Queen Victoria's profile and made sending letters much easier and more affordable, revolutionizing communication across the British Empire and beyond. 11. Post-mortem photography was a common Victorian practice to memorialize loved ones who had passed away. Families often posed with the deceased, sometimes making them look as if they were peacefully sleeping. Though it may seem morbid today, it was a way to remember and honor those lost. 12. The Great Exhibition of 1851, held in London's Crystal Palace, was the first World's Fair. It displayed the latest industrial and technological innovations from across the globe, highlighting Britain's status as a leader in industry and culture. 13. Although flush toilets were invented earlier, Victorian improvements made them more practical and widely available. This advancement greatly helped combat diseases like cholera by improving urban sanitation. 14. Victorian cities began replacing oil lamps with gas street lighting, which made streets safer at night and extended social activities after dark. Toward the late 19th century, electric lighting started appearing, changing cityscapes forever. 15. Child labor was common during the Victorian era, with many children working in factories, mines, and as chimney sweeps. The harsh conditions eventually sparked reforms and laws to protect children and require schooling. 16. Victorian diets often included offal, such as kidneys, brains, and tripe. These were considered tasty delicacies and reflected a time when wasting any part of an animal was unthinkable. 17. The late Victorian era saw the birth of detective fiction, with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes becoming one of the most famous literary detectives ever. This genre fascinated readers and influenced modern crime storytelling. 18. Public bathhouses were built in many cities to provide places where the poor could bathe regularly. With limited indoor plumbing, these baths improved hygiene and became social meeting spots. 19. Photography exploded in popularity during the Victorian era, making portraits accessible to more people, not just the wealthy elite. Family photos became treasured keepsakes. 20. Victorian women's hats were extravagant, often adorned with feathers, flowers, ribbons, and sometimes even entire stuffed birds. These decorations showed status and style, but sometimes sparked controversy among animal rights advocates. 21. Gothic fiction, including stories of vampires, ghosts, and other supernatural creatures, became wildly popular. Authors like Bram Stoker captured imaginations with tales like Dracula, feeding Victorian fascination with the macabre. 22. London opened the world's first underground railway, known today as the Tube, in 1863. This innovation transformed urban transport and city life. 23. Victorian toothpaste replaced earlier powders and homemade mixtures, improving dental hygiene. Toothpaste brands began to appear, making oral care more accessible. 24. Spiritualism, the belief that one could communicate with the dead through mediums and seances, captivated many Victorians. It mixed emerging scientific interests with mysticism and was a widespread social phenomenon. 25. Jack the Ripper's murders in 1888 horrified London. The unidentified killer preyed on women in the East End, sparking media frenzy and enduring mystery. 26. Afternoon tea became an essential social ritual during the Victorian era. Introduced by Anna, the Duchess of Bedford, it offered a light meal and a chance to socialize in the late afternoon. 27. The Great Stink of 1858 occurred when the polluted Thames River smelled so terrible that Parliament was forced to act. This crisis led to massive improvements in London's sewer system, designed by Joseph Bazalgette. 28. Some Victorians feared photography could steal their souls, a superstition rooted in the novelty and mystery of the technology. 29. Women's suffrage movements gained strength during the Victorian period, with activists campaigning tirelessly for the right to vote. 30. Modern sports like football, soccer, rugby, and cricket became standardized during this era, with official rules and organized clubs forming. 31. The electric telegraph revolutionized communication by allowing instant messages to be sent across continents, shrinking the world metaphorically. 32. Wealthy Victorian homes featured servant bell systems, where pulling a cord would ring a bell in the servants' quarters to summon them. 33. Collecting curiosities, like fossils, odd artifacts, and taxidermy, became a popular hobby for the Victorian elite, who displayed them in cabinets of curiosities. 34. The invention of the safety bicycle in the late 1800s made cycling more accessible, especially for women, and influenced fashion by promoting looser clothing. 35. Tooth whitening was uncommon and sometimes considered harmful, contrasting with today's beauty standards. 36. Medical professionals debated the health dangers of tight corsets, campaigning for more comfortable alternatives, though fashion trends often won. 37. Classic children's literature emerged during this period, with authors like Lewis Carroll writing Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. 38. Victorian prison reforms phased out the transportation of convicts to Australia and introduced ideas of rehabilitation over harsh punishment. 39. Mourning hair jewelry was a sentimental practice where loved one's hair was woven into rings, brooches, or lockets to keep memories. 40. The British Empire expanded to its peak during Victoria's reign, becoming the largest empire in history, influencing cultures worldwide. 41. The number and quality of petticoats a woman wore signaled her wealth and social standing. 42. The fountain pen was invented in the Victorian era, making writing smoother and more convenient. 43. Despite the reputation for cleanliness, many Victorians bathed less frequently than we do today, partly due to fears that cold water could cause illness. 44. Magic lantern shows were a popular form of entertainment, projecting hand-painted images and stories before the advent of cinema. 45. Smoking cigarettes began to rise in popularity during the late Victorian period, initially among working-class men. 46. Victorian gardens were carefully designed displays featuring exotic plants and intricate layouts, meant to impress visitors. 47. Department stores revolutionized shopping, offering fixed prices and a wide range of goods under one roof, turning shopping into a leisure activity. 48. Photography played a big role in boosting tourism, as visitors collected photographic postcards and souvenirs from travels. 49. Literacy rates improved dramatically during the Victorian era, thanks to school reforms and compulsory education laws. 50. Many modern ideas in fashion, technology, and culture have their roots in the Victorian period.